Hello everybody, my name is Spoons Rattling. I'm currently inside the box that contains Alfarius, and today I drafted up a sort of preview of what we might expect to see for an Alpha Legion-esque detachment come 10th edition. So, I say we get right into the video. So this is more of just a fun idea to do for, armies that I like, and the other traitor legions mainly. But luckily, Chaos Space Marines are getting their codex early next year, I think it is. I'd have to look at the roadmap again. But I'm just trying to sort of brainstorm what the Alpha Legion might get, as I assume one of the detachments will be themed to their fighting style of misdirection and subterfuge. So, I'm going to do this for the other Traitor Legions, maybe aside from Black Legion, since I assume theirs will be quite similar to the detachment we get for our indexes. Let's get moving, though. We're starting with the detachment ability, of course, and I think I translated this as best as I could from 9th edition, as I think it's quite strong. I call it the Subterfuge Warband, and all units in this detachment gain the Stealth rule, which means you're -1 to hit when you're shooting at them, as well as being able to fall back, then still shoot or declare a charge. This is pretty much 1-to-1 how their old rules would work in 10th edition, and I think it works quite well. Maybe there could be a wound limit, like models with more than 12 wounds do not gain the Stealth keyword, but that's sort of getting into the nitty-gritty of it, and I think that it'd be fine if everything had the Stealth rule, though it would certainly be more punishing to armies like, say, Guard or Tau. Anyways, let's get to the enhancements. So the enhancements are what we give to our characters, and honestly, I'm pretty satisfied with how I came up with these, so here's hoping that Games Workshop follows a similar path. So the first one is the Master of Deception. You select one infantry character unit for this enhancement. This unit gains the Scout 8 special rule, and so does the unit it leads, so it can pre-game move 8 inches. You can also select 2 other units to be redeployed. This isn't necessarily a direct power boost, but it will allow a character and its retinue to get into the fight, as well as giving you the redeploy option to better position your army against the opponent. Say they get first turn and you need to have your big units in cover. This would be a good enhancement for that. The next one is a Headhunter, based on the classic Alpha Legion unit of the Headhunters. Any ranged weapon this character is equipped with gained the Precision special rule and Anti-Character 2+, as well as add 1 to the Strength, AP, and Damage characteristics of that weapon, making him quite a fierce sniper with what could be presumed to be a Bolter or a Combi Bolter if he's a Terminator. But here's where it gets really special. If this character leads Chosen, their Bolters also gain these benefits. This is to draw back to the Horus Heresy, where the elites of the Alpha Legion often form Headhunter teams designed to hunt special targets, whether that be characters or otherwise. I think this would be an interesting unit, as assuming Chosen don't get special bolters, they'd be running around with Strength 5, AP 1, Damage 2 sniper rifles, making them destined sort of for taking out enemy units with their Harrow Master at the lead. And this last one is sort of a reinterpretation of the classic I Am Alfarius. This is the Unknown Identity. This can only be given to your Warlord. That model gains +1 wound, a leadership of 5+, +1 attack, strength, and damage to a melee weapon of your choice. If this unit is slain, select another character to become your Warlord. If your opponent would gain victory points for slaying the Warlord, they only get this if they kill every character that can be selected to be your Warlord. So they snipe one, another one says, I am Alfarius, and then becomes your Warlord for all rules purposes. Though they don't get the benefits, that's sort of how I think of it. This means you could eliminate the bonus victory points for slaying the Warlord if someone is using the tactical objective Assassinate. This is just seems like a tradition at this point that the Alpha Legion always has some way to change who their Warlord is, especially when one dies and they all start saying Alfarius. But that's just it for the enhancements. Personally, I'm quite satisfied with what I came up for them, and I hope that we get something along these lines when we get our actual codex. Assuming we get a detachment, which I assume we will. I think these stealthy Chaos Space Marines aren't going anywhere. They're too iconic, I think. But now we're on to the third section, which is the Stratagems, which are another thing that I'm pretty satisfied with. First off, we're starting with another Alpha Legion classic of the Sabotaged Armory. This would cost 1 CP, and after destroying an enemy vehicle or monster that has the Deadly Demise special rule, do not roll for it. It automatically goes off, and roll twice as many dice listed and take the highest result for the damage dealt and mortal wounds. This stratagem costs 2 CP, selecting a vehicle with 16 or more wounds. So that means things like Land Raiders or bigger would cost more to auto-explode, obviously, because they have more nasty explosions. But even still, this would be a handy thing to use if the opponent has a Dreadnought castle and they've got a bunch of units around. Could certainly cause some major damage. The next one is one that's sort of interesting. I don't know how well it works, but it's something that came to me. This is called Communication Interference. This would be 1 CP, and when an enemy unit is selected as the target of a stratagem, the opposing player, so the one who is using the first stratagem, must spend 1 more CP than the listed cost of the stratagem they used. If not, the unit does not receive the effect of the stratagem and must test for battle shock. This is sort of to represent the Alpha Legion cutting off a part of the army from their communication or command hierarchy and, scaring them, and then they can't benefit from the command and they may lose coordination and not be able to hold objectives. This next one is pretty much a port from 9th edition. It's called Reticent Infiltration. It's 1 CP. You select 1 non-battle shocked friendly unit during the movement phase, place that unit into reserve. It cannot return the same turn it entered reserved. This would be useful for just repositioning of slow units, like, say, Terminators at the end of the game to get to a far-flung objective, or to surprise the enemy on your next turn with a unit appearing in deep strike. Ooh, sorry. The next is a Perfect Trap. This one's 2 CP, so it's pricey. But when an enemy unit arrives from reserves, that unit becomes trapped. While trapped, subtract 2 from the movement characteristic, advanced moves, or charge rolls the unit makes. It ends during the opposing player's next command phase. So say they bring in a big squad of Terminators. Well, the Alpha Legion already knew, so they sprung a trap on them, keeping them distracted and disoriented. Any friendly unit that's attacking a trapped unit gets +1 to hit and can re-roll a hit roll of 1. This is to mean that, if you come in a risky situation, it gets even worse as the Alpha Legion already predicted it and can now really tear up whatever unit it is. It makes you think twice before deep striking right next to them. This next one is another one that I quite like. I was inspired by their fight with the Ultramarines after presumably Omegon or Alfarius body double died. You select 1 friendly unit that is selected to fall back for 1 CP. Then the rest of your army, when attacking the unit fallen back from, any friendly unit gets +1 to wound against that unit. So you have, say, some Chaos Space Marines fall back from a squad of Loyalist Terminators. And then you have some Havocs off to the side with autocannons. They mount up their autocannons and start unloading into those Terminators, and they're at +1 to wound, so they'll be wounding them on a 2+, and with the new autocannon profile, that could be very deadly. It's things like that. And you could even sort of coordinate it. It'd be a hard play to pull off, but if you can charge into something nasty and then fall back from it next turn, you could then leverage that +1 to wound as not only reactive, but proactive. Next up is, again, another port from 9th edition. This is Conceal. For 1 CP, select a friendly unit during your opponent's shooting phase. They cannot be selected as the target of a ranged attack unless within 12 inches. If the unit contains 7 or more models, this stratagem costs 2 CP. Now, the reason I said 7 or more is to go with the new blast rule, sort of, and unit coherency, because you might have a unit of 5 plus a commander, and that would be very unfortunate if you were punished for having a commander attached when you're trying to hide a unit. So, I think this is a good compromise. And that about wraps up my ideas for an Alpha Legion themed detachment. Let me know what you guys think down below, and any ideas you have for your favorite legions, whether that be the Iron Warriors, the Night Lords, Red Corsairs. I'm gonna start working on the other ones after this video, and they'll come out in the following days. Again, I'm Spoons Rattling. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.